At 2:17 every Friday morning, the woman in the gray hoodie walked into the laundromat, carrying almost no laundry. Marcus noticed because people with only one small basket usually stayed 20 minutes. She stayed until sunrise, every single week. Same corner machine, same seat beside the window, same black coffee from the gas station across the street. And every hour, she checked her phone like she was waiting for terrible news. The laundromat sat between a closed pawn shop and a 24-hour pharmacy. Nobody liked entering alone. Outside, rain soaked the empty streets in blue neon reflections. Inside, dryers hummed endlessly beneath flickering fluorescent lights. Marcus worked the overnight shift 6 nights a week. By 3 in the morning, he usually stopped noticing people, drunks, night nurses, college kids, truck drivers, divorced men staring into washing machines too long. Everyone looked lonely at 3 a.m. But the woman in the gray hoodie felt different. Not dangerous, not homeless, not unstable, just exhausted in a very quiet way. The first few Fridays, Marcus ignored her. Then he started noticing patterns. She never slept, never watched videos, never listened to music. Mostly she just sat there staring at the spinning machines while holding her phone tightly in both hands. And every Friday at exactly 4:12 a.m., she cried. Not loudly, just silently, like she was trying not to disturb strangers. The first time Marcus saw it, he looked away immediately. The second time, he pretended not to notice. By the 5th Friday, curiosity finally won. Around 3:40 a.m., he walked over holding a paper cup. Coffee? The woman looked startled at first, like nobody had spoken to her in hours. Oh! Her voice sounded rough. You don't have to do that. Marcus shrugged. Night shift survival kit. After a small hesitation, she accepted the coffee carefully. Thanks. Marcus pointed toward the nearly empty basket beside her machine. You know. He smiled lightly. You could probably wash that at home. For the first time? She almost smiled. I know. Then silence returned again. Marcus leaned against the machine nearby. You here every Friday? Her fingers tightened slightly around the coffee cup. Usually. That's oddly specific. This time she actually smiled a little. Tuesdays are worse. Marcus laughed unexpectedly. Okay. Now, I definitely need context. But the woman looked back toward the spinning washer immediately. Conversation over. Marcus raised his hands dramatically. Got it. Mysterious laundromat woman rules. That earned the smallest laugh yet. Tiny, but real. Then Marcus noticed something strange inside the machine. A small blue knitted sweater. Child-sized. He frowned slightly. The woman saw him looking. Immediately her expression changed. Not angry. Protective. She stood quickly and opened the washer before the cycle finished. Marcus stepped back. Sorry, didn't mean to stare. She pulled the wet sweater out carefully, like it was fragile. For a second, Marcus noticed her hands trembling. Then quietly, almost too quietly to hear, she whispered, I just need this one clean before morning. Something about the way she said it made Marcus stop asking questions, because suddenly, the laundromat no longer felt like a laundromat. It felt like somewhere people came when they didn't know where else to survive the night. The next Friday, she came back at exactly 2:17 a.m. Same gray hoodie, same tiny basket, same child-sized sweater. Marcus looked up from behind the counter the moment the door opened. You're late, she blinked. It's 2:17. You're usually here at 2:15. That surprised her enough to laugh softly. Wow, that's creepy. Marcus pointed proudly at himself. Night shift detective? She rolled her eyes, but walked to the same machine again. Machine 12. Always 12. Marcus noticed she checked her phone 3 times before even starting the washer. Then once more, after sitting down. 4 unread notifications. None opened. Around 2:40 a.m., Marcus carried over another coffee. This time she accepted it immediately. Careful, he said. That's basically friendship. She looked at the cup for a second, then quietly asked, Do you ever go home and feel like the apartment is too quiet? Marcus leaned back in the plastic chair beside her. All the time. You live alone? No. Worse. She looked over. I live with my cousin. That actually got a real laugh out of her. The kind people make by accident, before remembering they're sad. Marcus noticed it disappear almost immediately. You okay? She stared at the spinning machine. You ever keep yourself awake on purpose? Marcus frowned slightly. Why would I do that? Because tomorrow comes when you sleep. That sentence landed heavier than she intended. Even she looked surprised after saying it. Marcus studied her quietly now, not curious anymore. Concerned. What's your name? A long pause. Then, Hannah. Marcus. I know. He pointed accusingly. Okay, that's somehow creepier. Another tiny smile. Progress. Then Marcus glanced toward the washer again. The small blue sweater rotated slowly behind the glass. Still only that one sweater. Nothing else. Finally, Marcus asked carefully, Your kids? Hannah froze instantly. The smile vanished. Her eyes dropped toward the coffee cup. Marcus regretted the question immediately. You don't have to answer that. For a few seconds, only dryers hummed around them. Then Hannah quietly said, He liked this sweater. Past tense. Marcus noticed immediately. He? My son. Something tightened painfully in Marcus's chest. Hannah kept staring at the machine. He wore it every Friday. Marcus didn't interrupt. He said it was lucky. A tiny laugh escaped her. He thought blue monsters on sweaters could protect people. Marcus smiled faintly. Smart kid. Her eyes watered immediately after hearing that. Like kindness hurt, worse than pity. She stood suddenly. I need air. Before Marcus could respond, she walked quickly outside into the rain. Through the laundromat window, Marcus watched her stop beneath the flickering neon sign. Head lowered, arms wrapped around herself tightly. Not like someone cold, like someone trying not to fall apart. Marcus looked back toward Machine 12. The tiny sweater continued turning slowly behind the glass. Round and round, like time refusing to move forward. When Hannah came back inside, her eyes were red, but her voice sounded normal again. Too normal. Marcus hated that kind of normal. The kind people use after crying in public. He pretended not to notice and handed her a pack of crackers from behind the counter. Laundromat gourmet menu. Hannah looked down at the crackers. You always feed emotionally unstable customers? Only the favorites. That earned another small smile. Then silence settled again, while rain hammered the windows outside. At 3:26 a.m., the front door opened. A drunk man stumbled inside, laughing to himself. Marcus immediately straightened. The guy smelled like whiskey and wet pavement. He glanced around lazily, then noticed Hannah sitting alone. Marcus saw her entire body tense instantly. The drunk man grinned. Well, damn. Didn't expect company tonight. Hannah lowered her eyes immediately. Marcus walked over before the man could get closer. Machines are full tonight. The guy looked around the nearly empty laundromat. Seriously? Yep, the man scoffed. Marcus didn't move. After a few seconds, the drunk finally muttered something under his breath and left again. The door slammed shut behind him. Silence returned. Hannah's hands were shaking. Marcus sat beside her quietly. You okay? She nodded too fast. Yeah. That wasn't convincing. Her fingers tightened around the coffee cup. Then softly, without looking at him, she asked, Can I tell you something weird? Marcus shrugged. This building survives entirely on weird. For a few seconds she said nothing. Then, I drive around for almost 2 hours before coming here. Marcus frowned. Every Friday? She nodded. I can't make myself go home. The dryers hummed softly nearby. Marcus waited. Hannah swallowed carefully. Because once I go home, her voice cracked slightly. It becomes Saturday. Marcus didn't understand at first. Then slowly, he did. Hannah stared at the floor while speaking. Friday was our night. She smiled weakly through tears. Pizza, cartoons, staying up too late. Marcus stayed completely still. He'd wait by the apartment window every Friday after daycare. Now her voice sounded distant, like she wasn't inside the laundromat anymore. He always got excited when he saw my car. A tear rolled down her face. I still look up at that window sometimes. Marcus felt something heavy settle in his chest. Hannah laughed quietly at herself. Pathetic, right? No. She wiped her face quickly. It's been 7 months. Marcus said nothing, because suddenly there was only one question left, and both of them knew it. Hannah answered it before he could ask. Drunk driver. The laundromat seemed to go silent for one horrible second. Even the dryers felt quieter. Marcus stared at the spinning blue sweater inside machine 12. Small. Tiny, really. A child had once lived inside that sweater. A real child. One who liked cartoons and pizza and believed blue monsters protected people. Hannah's breathing became uneven. I know this is unhealthy. Marcus looked at her. I know staying here all night doesn't fix anything. Rainwater slid down the glass behind her, like melting tears. But if I stay awake long enough? She swallowed hard. Friday doesn't end. Marcus didn't know what to say after that, because there are some kinds of pain nobody prepares answers for. Hannah suddenly laughed again through tears. He used to hate laundromats. Marcus blinked. What? He said they smelled sad. Button's sentence nearly broke him. Because somehow, it was exactly true. After that night, Marcus stopped thinking of Hannah as the woman from Machine 12. Now, every Friday around 2 a.m., he caught himself watching the door before she even arrived. And every week, she walked in, looking more exhausted. Not physically, emotionally, like someone carrying something invisible that kept getting heavier. One Friday, she arrived almost an hour late, 2:58 a.m. The moment Marcus saw her face, he stood up immediately. You okay? Hannah nodded too quickly. Traffic. Liar. That almost made her smile. Almost. But Marcus noticed something else immediately. No sweater. For the first time, her basket was empty. Hannah sat beside Machine 12, without turning anything on, just staring at the dark glass. Marcus slowly walked over. No laundry tonight. Her eyes stayed fixed on the machine. I left it at home. The sentence sounded wrong somehow, like she regretted it already. Marcus sat beside her quietly. Outside, snow drifted softly through the empty parking lot. You want to talk? Hannah laughed weakly. Not really. Fair? Another silence. Then finally she whispered, I opened his bedroom yesterday. Marcus looked over carefully. It's the first time? She nodded. I couldn't before. Her breathing became uneven again. Everything still smells like him. Marcus didn't interrupt. He left crayons under the bed. A tiny broken laugh escaped her, and one sock in the closet. Now tears rolled freely down her face. I don't know why that destroyed me more than everything else. Marcus looked down quietly. Because somehow, he understood exactly why. Not the big things, the tiny normal things. Those were the hardest to survive. Hannah covered her face briefly, then suddenly said, I almost sold the apartment. Marcus frowned. Almost. I walked into his room and couldn't do it. She looked exhausted admitting that. Like grief itself was embarrassing. Marcus leaned back in the chair. My dad kept my mom's voicemail for 11 years. Hannah looked over. He listened to it every Sunday. What did it say? Marcus smiled sadly. Don't forget milk. That caught her off guard. She laughed through tears. That's it? That's it. Marcus shrugged lightly. He said someday he'd forget her voice. The laundromat fell quiet again. Then Hannah looked toward machine 12. You know the worst part? Marcus waited. She wiped her eyes slowly. I'm terrified of feeling better. That hit him immediately, because it sounded horribly true. Hannah stared at the floor. If I stop hurting this much? Her voice cracked. Does that mean I'm leaving him behind? Marcus looked at her for a long moment, then softly said, No. Hannah finally looked up. Marcus nodded toward the empty machine. It means you survived loving him. For the first time since he met her, Hannah completely broke down. Not quiet tears, not controlled tears, real grief, the kind that shakes your entire body. Marcus moved closer immediately, and without thinking, Hannah buried her face against his shoulder and cried like someone who had been holding her breath for 7 straight months. Outside, snow continued falling silently. Inside the laundromat, machine 12 stayed empty. The next Friday, Hannah didn't come. 2:17 passed. Then 3 a.m. Marcus kept glancing toward the laundromat door between customers. No gray hoodie, no machine 12, no blue sweater. By 4:30, he caught himself checking the parking lot every few minutes. And he hated that he was worried. Because deep down, he already knew grief made people disappear sometimes. The following Friday, snowstorm warnings covered the city. Marcus almost convinced himself she wouldn't come. Then, at exactly 2:16 a.m., the door opened. Hannah stepped inside, carrying no laundry at all. But this time, she looked different, still tired, still fragile, yet somehow lighter. Marcus immediately noticed. You look less haunted. That earned a real laugh. Amazing customer service. He smiled. I try. Then he noticed something else. No basket, no sweater. Marcus looked toward her empty hands carefully. Hannah followed his eyes. A small silence passed between them. Then she quietly said, I packed his clothes yesterday. Marcus didn't speak. I thought I couldn't do it. Her eyes watered slightly. But I did. The laundromat hummed softly around them. Hannah sat beside machine 12 one last time. I kept one thing. Marcus nodded gently. The sweater. She smiled faintly. Yeah. A long silence settled comfortably between them this time. Not awkward, not heavy, just tired, like two people who had survived difficult winters. Then Hannah suddenly asked, Do you know why I really came here? Marcus leaned back. I assumed emotional damage. She laughed softly. No. Her eyes drifted toward the spinning dryers nearby. The night after the funeral, her voice lowered. I went home and realized the apartment was completely silent. Marcus listened quietly. No cartoons. No tiny footsteps. No little voice asking for snacks at midnight. Her fingers tightened slightly together. And I thought, she swallowed hard, if I stayed there alone, I might actually stop existing. Marcus felt that sentence in his chest. Hannah looked around the laundromat slowly. But here, a tiny smile appeared. Machines hummed. People walked in and out. Someone was always awake. Outside, snow swirled beneath neon lights. Inside, warm, drier air drifted softly through the laundromat. It reminded me the world was still alive. Marcus looked at her quietly for a long moment, then softly asked, So, why come back tonight? Hannah smiled through tired eyes. Because I didn't want to disappear without saying goodbye. That nearly broke him. Marcus looked down briefly before speaking again. You know, he pointed toward machine 12. I'm probably never letting anyone else use that now. Hannah laughed harder than before. Please don't make this emotionally weirder. No promises. Another silence, but this one felt different. Less like grief, more like healing. Around 5:48 a.m., sunlight slowly began appearing beyond the fogged laundromat windows. The first sunrise Marcus had ever seen, with Hannah smiling. She stood near the door quietly, then suddenly turned back. Hey, Marcus. Yeah? Hannah hesitated. For one small second, she looked terrified again. Then finally, I think I'm ready to go home. Marcus nodded gently. No dramatic speech. No perfect answer. Just, good. Hannah smiled one last time before stepping outside into the pale morning light. Marcus watched her cross the empty parking lot slowly. Not cured, not completely okay, but moving forward. And for the first time in months, Friday finally ended. And somehow, that didn't feel like betrayal anymore.